All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to meet an insect that is, well, it's on a whole other level compared to the bees you might see buzzing around your garden. No, really, think about it for a second. A bee buzzing past that's the size of your thumb. It sounds like something straight out of a movie, doesn't it? Well, here's the crazy part. It is 100% real.
So, let's put a name to this incredible creature. Say hello to Apis dorsata, or as it's more commonly and very appropriately known, the giant honeybee. And believe me, it has totally earned that name. Let's find out why.
Okay, so what exactly makes this bee a giant? I'll give you a hint. It's not just about its size. This bee is packing some serious abilities that you could almost call superpowers. Okay, this really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? You know the honeybee we're all familiar with? It's tiny, about a centimeter long. Well, Apis dorsata pretty much doubles that. And check this out. While our local bees are all cozy inside a hive, the giant honeybee lives its entire life out in the open, on one single massive comb.
And when I say massive colony, I'm not kidding. We're talking up to 100,000 bees in a single colony. That is literally the population of a small city, all just hanging out on a tree branch.
And the home they build? Oh, it's just as epic. We're talking a single honeycomb that can stretch 1.5 meters wide. Can you even picture that? A structure that big, just dripping with honey, totally exposed to the wind and rain? It's wild. So how do you feed a city of 100,000? Well, you've got to be a pretty amazing flyer. And these bees are. A single worker can travel up to 5 kilometers from the nest just to find food. That's a huge distance. And that flight range, that's one of its most important superpowers. It's what makes it such a vital part of the whole forest. All right, this whole living out in the open thing, it's probably the most unique and honestly mind-blowing thing about the giant honeybee. I mean, imagine a home with no walls.
Right, so just to be clear, their entire home is just one giant comb, and it's just hanging there from a super high branch or maybe stuck to the side of a cliff. The only thing protecting all that honey and all the baby bees is a living, breathing curtain made of thousands and thousands of worker bees, all layered on top of each other. Incredible. So, naturally, that brings up a pretty big question, right? If your house has no walls and it's filled to the brim with super delicious honey, how in the world do you keep it safe from, well, everyone who wants to steal it?
Well, they have a whole arsenal of tricks up their sleeves. For starters, if you mess with them, they launch these incredibly vicious, coordinated attacks. But they've got some smarter moves too. There's something called heat balling, where they completely swarm an intruder, like a wasp, and vibrate their muscles so fast they literally cook it to death at 45 degrees Celsius. But my absolute favorite is shimmering. The whole surface of that bee curtain ripples in this amazing wave motion. It's meant to scare off predators, and honestly, it's one of the coolest things you'll ever see in nature.
So these bees are amazing builders and fierce warriors, we get that. But that's not their whole story. They have this incredibly important mission, a job that supports the entire forest they call home. They are absolute powerhouse pollinators.
Yeah, in forests like those in South India, you just can't overstate how important they are. Because they fly so far, they visit a huge variety of flowers. That means they're responsible for pollinating everything from giant wild trees to tiny medicinal herbs, and even the crops that people rely on for food.
This chart here really gives you a sense of their impact. In one area, the Nilgiris, they visit more than a quarter of all the different types of flowering plants. They're not picky, which is what scientists call being a generalist. And that's fantastic news for the forest, because it means they help keep the whole system healthy and diverse, from the biggest trees right down to the crops in a small farm.
But here's the tough part of the story. Like so many of our planet's most amazing creatures, this wild giant is in real trouble. That unique lifestyle, living right out in the open, actually makes them super vulnerable to some serious threats.
So what exactly are we talking about here? Well, first up is deforestation. They're losing the giant old trees they need to build their nests. Then there's climate change, which is making rainfall unpredictable. That messes up when the flowers bloom, so sometimes the bees just can't find food. And of course, there are pesticides from farms and unsustainable honey hunting practices that can wipe out an entire colony in one go.
And look, this isn't just some abstract scientific model. This quote right here makes it real. We're talking about indigenous honey hunters, people whose families have lived with these bees for generations. And they're the ones on the front lines, seeing the decline with their own eyes.
When almost every single one of them says they're seeing fewer bees, you know we have a serious problem.
But you know what? The story doesn't have to end on a sad note. We know what the problems are, and that means we can start working on the solutions. We can actually help this incredible hero of the forest.
So, what's the game plan? It's actually pretty clear. Number one, we've got to protect their homes. That means preserving those old-growth forests and the tall trees these bees absolutely need. Number two, we have to get smarter about agriculture and limit the use of chemicals and pesticides that harm them. And number three, and this is so important, we need to respect and learn from traditional knowledge. That means supporting the indigenous communities who have practiced sustainable honey hunting for centuries. They know how to work with the bees, not against them.
Which brings us to our final thought. For thousands of years, this giant bee has been a guardian of the forest, making sure it stays healthy and full of life. The question we have to ask ourselves now is, who's going to be the guardian for the bee?